I love this story. Remember, I'm the engineer and the scientist. And so this is going to sound strange at first, and then I'll explain it. But my best advice for every one of you is be lucky. Okay, be lucky. Why is the engineer and scientist saying be lucky? I'm going to start with another historical story. This one happens at Fort McHenry. You may not remember it, but you will by the end of the story. It's 1812. And the British Navy, arguably the most powerful navy in the world, is in the bay with cannons firing on Fort McHenry. For some strange reason, the soldiers in Fort McHenry were determined to keep their flag up through the night. They knew they were going to lose this battle. It was inevitable. They were a small fort and the British Navy. And they assigned people to make sure the flag was up. The bombs were bursting in air. And something happened that night. In the middle of all of these soldiers in McHenry being determined, a storm blew in. Now, a few years ago, there was a movie called The Perfect Storm, and it talks about 3 different weather fronts all coming together at the same time. This happened during the War of 1812. The British Navy in the bay was pummeled by rain and heavy waves. All of their gunpowder was soaked and ruined. And the British Army inland that had taken over Washington, D.C. and burned it to the ground got hit by the same storm. This was kind of a form of luck. What was happening was the American Army should never have declared war on the British. But they were determined, they did not give up, and something intervened that saved the War of 1812. It became a stalemate, and we managed to stay an independent country and not return to becoming colonies again. There's a better way of telling this story, and it comes from a book by a man named Wiseman called The Luck Factor. And in The Luck Factor, Wiseman, a scientist like me, has decided he wants to figure out, why are some people lucky and some people not lucky? One of the most significant tests that he did was he gets 200 people who are lucky and hardworking and 200 people who are not lucky and hardworking. And he puts them in a room and he gives them all a newspaper and he says, I will pay you 200 or 100 pounds if you can tell me how many pictures are in this newspaper. So a pound is a British version of the dollar. What he didn't tell everybody was, on the second page of the newspaper was a headline that says, mention this headline and I'll give you a second 100 pounds. All the lucky people turn in, they say there were 40 pictures, and by the way, there was a headline on the second page that said, second 100 pounds. And almost all of the unlucky people said, there were 40 pictures in there, and I want my 100 pounds. So now what Wiseman has to do is he has to get all these unlucky people together in a room and say, okay, what happened? And most of them said, you gave me one assignment. The assignment was count the pictures. I counted the pictures. I didn't look at the headlines. Some people said, well, I saw the headline, but I thought it was a trick, so I didn't mention it. What exactly happened here? The lucky people all got it. The unlucky people almost exclusively did not get it. The conclusion that Wiseman made at the end of the study is, lucky people are the ones who are constantly looking for opportunity. They go places where they're not supposed to go. They meet people that unlucky people would never meet, and they're always looking around the room. What is the opportunity here? how can I find somebody new? How can I learn something new? That is the difference between being lucky and not being lucky. And so I'll repeat, be lucky.